All right, so this is Todd Atkins, and I'm back with another episode. And today I got Emanuel Thompson on the bottom there, and Dr. Richard Mack, who I've had on my show before. And before we start, I want to thank my sponsor, Live to Fight Design. They make fight banners and gym banners. If you use my name there in red, Todd Atkins, you can get $20 off of one if you want to order one. And before we start, I want to kind of let both of you guys introduce yourselves. Emanuel, I'll start with you.
All right, cool. What's up? My name is Manny. I've been doing MMA for about the last, let's say maybe 5, 6 years. But I've been doing martial arts all my life, starting with Taekwondo, switching over to Muay Thai, and then Jiu-Jitsu once I got out grappled by old man and got upset about it. And somehow now I'm doing MMA, and it feels good to be here.
And Dr. Richard Mack.
So yeah, my name is Dr. Richard Mack. People know me on Instagram as the MMA Doc. I've been in business for over 3 years now. I've been a physical therapist for the past 14 years. Been working with fighters and martial artists, and more in the rehab realm for the past about 6 years. I just kind of got tired of just seeing a lot of the injuries and putting out fires with their injuries. And then I just started a business to really address the root causes of their problems and really just kind of keep them healthy on the mats and performing well, which is what they really wanted. So now they're no longer injured and they're just having a great time training and fighting.
How much did it pick up from last time I talked to you?
What, business?
Yeah.
Business has picked up. I've about over 60 athletes right now. I have an assistant coach under me and another assistant help me out with things. I have athletes from around the USA and then also around the world. So they could range from Hong Kong, Thailand, Australia, Europe. It's been a really cool experience, a wild ride. It's just to see the reach grow and it's just kind of have my presence on social media and just people just kind of really know who I am. I've just had a couple of sponsorship opportunities with some fight promotions, and it's just I've been a little more bigger in the Muay Thai scene, but I definitely work with martial artists from different disciplines.
Now, Manuel, I kind of want to talk a little bit about your fighting. I know you kind of briefly talked about kind of when you first got into martial arts. Maybe touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. So, I started off young, just got into anime, wasn't good at any other sports. Saw Goku fight Vegeta, and I was like, this is something I'm interested in. And I wasn't really interested in anything else. When I would try to play other sports, I would get upset because I wasn't necessarily good at them. So I ended up always wanting to fight the people if they were beating me at basketball and stuff like that. So my mom was like, maybe it's a good idea just to hop into martial arts. And through that, it's just been a journey ever since.
So the first fight you saw was Sokuju versus Vegeta?
Goku versus Vegeta. So Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay.
Basically two anime characters just going at it. And I was just wow, look at these kicks, look at these punches, look at the way people are dodging things here. They have no weapons. These people are weapons. And it just kind of got me fascinated and wanted to turn my body into a weapon, So it just kind of was something that stuck with me, resonated with me, was a release. It was fun. And I just want to see where the journey just basically took me. And it's crazy how various things can inspire you, because art, is an eye of the beholder. And I just found that as beautiful and infatuating, and I still do. And even when it comes to my style of martial arts, it's very creative. I truly see it as a canvas for me to paint, no matter whether it be a W or an L, which is rare. It's gonna be beautiful what you're gonna watch because of just the sequence of everything.
So what was your first exposure to mixed martial arts?
My first exposure to mixed martial arts honestly started with Anderson Silva. Somebody told me about this guy named the Spider, and I wondered why they called him the Spider. So then from there, I watched a couple of his highlight reels. I'm this is crazy. But I still was into my Taekwondo side of things. And then a couple weeks later, he was fighting against Chris Weidman. And my boy was if Chris Weidman beats him, then you got to come into the gym. So then from there, Anderson Silva fought him, and Anderson Silva broke his leg. And then from there, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be coming in to train. Started at Capital MMA. They saw I had like a base in regards to just technique, understanding, movement, distance. So I got into the advanced class pretty easily. And ever since, it's just kind of also just like been escape from like, just a monotonous 9 to 5 that everybody goes to. It's like my recess, like sometimes I got to slow it down and learn how to take a break. Which is something that, MMA doc has helped me out with a lot. He's like, your muscles don't develop while you're working out all the time. Like I used to work out every single day. But now I learn how to space things out and how to really maximize and tailor my body, not only to become better, but how to optimize it for performance. Like anybody who trains with me, I guarantee you, like if I have a grappling match coming up, they can tell the difference in my physique and everything as things get tailored to me doing that. Or like me for an MMA fight, they could see the changes being adjusted in my body, beyond practice, and it's a very, very interesting and beautiful thing, to have like somebody in the back just looking at the data side of things where you could just focus. So, yeah.
How long into it did you start fighting?
I would say MMA wise or just like martial arts.
MMA wise.
MMA wise, I would say around 25. Like when I lived out in Germany, I was like training like I was when I was over at Capital, but I lived over there for 2 years. And when I was living over there, I ended up getting into a couple of like street fights and things like that. So then from there, like my chain of command, 'cause I used to be in the military, were like, yo, you should probably start training in the dojo. And I always just wanted to kind of test myself in regards to martial arts in its purest form. Like it's one thing to do like Muay Thai, which is incredibly hard. I respect anybody who does it, and I've competed in that as well. Or do a jiu-jitsu match, which I got coming up, very soon. But it's another thing to like basically go in there with like no rules to see whose art is better. So yeah, I would say maybe after like a year and some change of like doing jiu-jitsu, I started hopping into the MMA realm. So I would say coming like, just from practicing MMA in general, maybe about a year and some change, in 2 years before I started hopping into like actual like competition.
Now, when did you start looking to Richard, or when did you first find out about him?
Oh man. First off, the memes, man. His memes are freaking hilarious. Like my boy still shares memes. They don't even know who he is. Like now they do, but like back in the day they didn't. So like it started from the memes. Like he'll put like some stuff we go through. And like shout out to my boy like Josh, but like there's one time where he almost died cutting weight. Like literally, we're all around the bed. He's just there like this. And he's like, guys, like, and we're like, are you okay? Like you just got 2 more pounds. And so like that resonated with me. I started liking some things, started following some things. And if my memory serves me correctly, because I get hit in the head a good amount, he asked me how much I trained. I let him know, and he was like, yo, that's a lot. And I was like, yeah. But I kept grinding, kept training. And then I really wanted to take my training to the next level. I thought I had to really build a solid team around me. And it was like a 3-day weekend for something. I think it was Memorial Day or something. And then I contacted him. I'm like, hey, yo, like I want to be part of your team. He's like, all right, well, right now I'm out with the fam. Once that's all said and done, we'll talk. And we talked, and everything just made sense from a logical standpoint. Like, you do this, you know what I'm saying? How it's tailored is going to benefit you. And, it's been a straight arrow ever since. You just got to follow what he says, like you need, you have to give him the data for him to do his craft. That's like giving him the paint for him to paint, his picture. I remember my first fight under him, my opponent came up to me and was like, I never fought somebody as strong as you. Like, he was like, you should be pulling planes. But it's just how we tailored to the fight. Like, if I'm fighting an opponent, I'll but I will give the information over, you know what I mean, to the doc. And then from there, he'll tailor something up, Next thing you know, I'm fighting this person and they're just like, whoa, like, I can't believe, boom. And it's cool to like see that unison of like my coaches and what they do, you know what I'm saying, on top of like, what he does. And that's why also why they're so like quick to just flow something for him if he needs, like, not needs, but if he like, says like, hey, I would like to get an update from your coaches in regards to what you're doing. And then they're like, okay, bet. And they just sit there like, yo, like ever since this, he's got better at this, that, this, that, this, that. because like how much they intertwine so much, you know. It's very cool, very cool.
Rich, maybe talk about like, when he first contacted you, maybe what you were first looking at. I know he talked about a little bit, but
Yeah, so when I first chatted with him, I think he was just doing like some random workouts. I generally kind of see who's actually serious or not. Like, because generally a lot of people just want to try to pick my brain. They want to just get as much tips as possible, but not really commit. So in the beginning, I was like, okay, he's just mentioning his training and stuff. I was like, oh, okay. But we kind of just left the conversation as that. But he has one of his good friends was actually working with me, which was like Tyler. He's like he was a pro MMA fighter, and we started working together. And then like obviously Manny got to see the process with how I was working with Tyler and how he just leveled up on so many ways, had a really easy weight cut. And then we just chatted again. I was like, oh, you two know each other? And he goes, yeah, that's my boy. I've known him for quite a while. Then we just kind of really just had that conversation. We jumped on a call and really just sort it out and be like, hey, this is what we do. Like, if you this I kind of learned more about what the issues that he was going through. Generally a lot of MMA fighters, they overtrain a lot. They just do a lot of random lifting. They don't know, they lift too much, or they just try to focus on every explosive thing as possible, but they don't really understand what it takes to become more explosive. Or they'll just say, oh, well, I'm just going to max out my heart rate and just go as hard as possible for my cardio, and that's going to level it up. But it generally doesn't work that way once you understand what goes on in the body. And then a lot of them don't quite understand eating. They just think like, oh, I'm just going to eat clean and everything is going to be okay. And it's like, it doesn't really mean anything. You can eat clean and under fuel, or you could just quote unquote eat clean and all of a sudden you still can't drop weight. So you really have to kind of understand what the body needs to properly perform and recover, and then trim down, make weight smoothly, and then you just guide them on their weight cut. So once I laid that out to him, he just like loved it, enrolled, went through the process, saw the gains, his coaches saw the gains, and he just kind of climbed the ranks. So now like he's just probably like one of the top ranked fighters in his state, and he's just like looking for more competitions and looking to go pro soon.
So when you enrolled, is it that like he just monitored what you were doing from there? Because you kind of already gave him the information at that point, right?
Well, he told me what was going on. I kind of explained what he does, but then obviously when we're working together, I would say, hey, when's your fight coming up? Okay, this is your time frame. Okay, what weight do you have to fight at? Okay, what do you want to work on? And then they'll say, oh, I want to get more explosive on my takedowns, I want to get more power in my punches. I was like, okay, well, we have this time frame, we'll focus on this for a bit, and then we focus on that. So pretty much I take all that guesswork out for them. I just lay out the programs and say, all right, how does this look for you? All they need to do is just stay consistent with it, log it in, log in their food, send me their heart rate graphs so I can see what's going on with their cardio as well, and then just see their progress along the way. I get to see how their weight is trending, how they're eating, if they're on track to have a really smooth weight cut. And then generally when they're approaching fight week, I can see where they're at, and then like calculate like where they're at for how much they're going to cut. Then I guide them along with like what they need to do for fight week, and generally they have really smooth cuts. And actually how to properly replenish right after weigh-ins. A lot of fighters don't know how to replenish after weigh-ins. They just do a lot of guesswork. They try to chug Gatorades, whatever, get a stomach ache, end up in the bathroom, just kind of like feel terrible. And then they're just fighting through feeling terrible during their fight. So generally a lot of athletes that I work with, once everything's dialed in, they're back up in weight, they're feeling great, they're feeling sharp, they're just ready to perform.
Now, do you provide him the graphs like to turn into you?
The heart rate graphs. So generally, yeah, they wear a heart rate monitor. They record their cardio sessions.
Okay.
They'll just send me screenshots and then I get to
Okay.
take a look at it and be like, all right, this looking pretty good. Hey, what's going on with this? And it's just me just like analyzing
Yeah,
the
it
data.
sounded technical to me. Like I don't even know if I could fill out a graph. It
No.
sounded
It's something
technical.
they record so I could see. So 'cause I'm not in front of them, right? So I get to just see what's going on with them during their session.
So maybe, man, to talk about like
Mhm.
when you get the information from him, you start using this. Maybe talk about in general. You don't have to be super technical, but in general,
Mhm.
maybe what were some of the changes that you saw going from not having someone that you're working with to now having someone like him to work with?
I'll say first things first, no excuses. You know what I mean? Like if you're not putting in your data, like if you're not doing your trading, if you're not putting how much you lift, how many reps you do, he's gonna hit you up. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing too. You know what I'm saying? Because he'll make sure that you are being the best version of yourself. There'll be times where like I have a sprint test or something, and he'll be like, "Did you push hard?" And I'm like, "Did I?" You know, so like that was like the first thing is like, his numbers don't lie, and you know, I'm giving him these numbers. I might not understand the equations fully, you know, definitely wasn't a math major, but I do understand that I'm getting better. And if I push, then I'm good. Like working with him was like me having a compass now and understanding a direction. You know what I mean? Like if I tell him I want to go to like an oasis or something, you know, like he's giving me the direction to go there. You know what I'm saying? On top of what, you know, my coaches are doing to make sure that like everything's aligned. So like that was like the beauty of mainly working with him. And then on top of that, like you could just like, you know, trust him. Like he's doing so much stuff in the background that people just don't understand. And they might try to act like they do, but they don't. Because like at the end of the day, there's so many courses and crazy things for this type of stuff. And for him to understand that and to do that from something I'm not feeling too good, next thing you know, he changed something up and I'm feeling good. Or like he said, like after you know, a weigh-in, like, you know, I've been at weigh-ins and people will drink milkshakes, like straight up Chick-fil-A milkshakes, whatever. And I'm over here with like all these things measured out that he told me, you know, to drink. And I'm up in there feeling like $1,000. I mean, better than $1,000. Say $1,000,000. There we go. Times that. But yeah, so it was great because it was just like there's a lot of guessing work I didn't have to deal with anymore. Like as a fighter, like there's so much mental effort you have to put towards even showing up to practice to what my coaches put me through. So if I don't have to worry about like guesswork and making workouts, because I had to do it before, like make workouts and understand rep ranges and do all this stuff off of bodybuilding.com. Now when I do stuff, it's like it's way different. It's way better. And people are just asking me, I don't know how you could like make this weight. I don't know how you're that strong at this size. I don't know how you're improving at the age of 30. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm almost 31. I'm still out. Like I'm in the best shape of my life. And it goes beyond training and practice. That's only maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. But what are you putting in your body before you even show up? Like, what are you doing in the morning? Are you taking the right things in the morning? Are you doing the proper things to make you better in a certain field? So yeah, but the first thing that he lets you know before he works with you is like, yo, here's my expectation. And you gotta meet that expectation. If you want your best version of yourself. And a lot of people don't do that, you know, like as somebody who's like working on a business degree and stuff like that, a lot of people, you know, and he's warned me about this too, like, you know, but a lot of people, they'll try to like, you know, get you on their waves to take some bread from you. But like, he's like, hey, like, nah, like, aside from all that, here's what I need from you. Like, F the money, here's what I need from you. And if you're not willing to push yourself and go there, then like what's the point of even working, you know? So I respect that a lot, and it makes me really genuinely push because I do his workouts in the morning. I wake up in the morning at like 5 a.m., you know, and do his workouts. I'm up in work, like putting in the data and doing all that. I can communicate with him throughout the day fully if I'm not feeling a certain type of way. Like, and any question I have about, you know, the biological side of the fence, the athletic performance side of the fence, like he has answers for, and it's amazing. Like I can hit him up right now because I'm crazy. Like after my last fight, right? I weighed 145 after the last fight. I fought around 155, 160. I wanted to come in hydrate at 170 for a jiu-jitsu tournament less than a month after. And he created the equation for it. And I won it, you know, one gold medal. People are like, how'd you do that? How'd you go from 140 fighting in featherweight division to out grappling somebody at 170? I don't even know. I just followed the instructions he gave me. And that's the beauty of it right there.
You know, you mentioned something interesting. You didn't catch it, but you mentioned something about coaches. I want to ask you about this. You know, coaches are interesting. Some, like Rich, have you ever had someone say, I could see some coaches saying, why are you bringing this guy in? What, you know, where are your coaches? You ever get any of that? Rich?
No, because they're so happy with the results, you know, like I feel like the thing with coaches, they get weird. Like coaches get very possessive over a fighter because they're like, oh, like I don't want nobody to poach this person, but like they can't deny the results. Like if I'm out here getting like, because it's like homework. Conditioning is like homework, in my opinion. You know, like you can learn all the technical stuff in class, like I can. Here's how to counter Kimura, do all this stuff. But if you ain't got the umph with it that you learned from, you know, or not learned, but you earned from the conditioning, then what's the point? They love him. They love him. Like they have no issues. You know, like my coach just gave a consultation. Like, and the reason why I let him do the talking was not only because I talk too much, but also because my coach was just like, I wanted like, Doc to hear, from my coaches, like, yo, he's like your stuff does help. Your stuff is like excellent. You know, like I'm a purple belt in jujitsu, just got my purple belt. I'm out here tapping out brown belts and stuff now at the gym. Like it's fantastic. But they do understand that it takes a village to do this. And my coaches aren't possessive like that. They understand that, there's things that they're good at, there's things that they don't know. And the things that they don't know, they trust me, as an adult to find people who do. And luckily, shouts to Cornbread, and because he brought him up earlier, but, thanks to him and, the memes, I was able to find somebody who I genuinely trust. And also, he expects a lot from me, just like my coaches do. I see him as one of my coaches.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what that's something also just kind of put in consideration. So when people are like, "Are your coaches possessive?" Well, he's one of them. So I mean, hey, something to think about.
But what about you, Rich? Have you ever run into that?
Yeah, I've run into it. Generally, if they're a little more on the old school end, it's just that they just kind of feel like, well, this is how we always did it. This is the way, and they never really thought about like, oh well, maybe there's a more efficient way of things. But um, generally, I have a lot of respect with the skills coaches that I do work with. I'm friends with gym owners, coaches, like even Manny's coach. Like we're just on good terms. Like we don't step on each other's toes. I trust him to really prepare Manny as well as possible as he can on the skills end. But then I just basically kind of deal the strength conditioning, nutrition, eating end. But if I hear that Manny's feeling, let's say, run down or whatever, I was like, hey, what's going on? It's like, oh yeah, I'm training this gym, and in this gym they're putting me through the grinder to get me ready for this. I was like, hey, maybe you should have a talk and at least kind of adjust it, so at least you're just kind of training at a good level instead of just like running yourself into the ground. So it just comes with mutual respect. Like there's no egos. It's like generally it's just all about the interest of the best fighter. Like I really don't put my ego above any fighter.
But I mean, you've never had a situation where you had trouble getting past that kind of.
Sometimes there's there are situations where the coach is like, well, you got to run. I don't know. Was I don't know. One coach was like 8 to 10 kilometers every day, like 6 days a week, and I just had to like adjust things on my end. I was like, well, you're gonna have to have a chat with your coach, but the unfortunate part is that the coach is the gatekeeper. Like if you don't do what he says, you're not gonna fight. So the most what I could do is just kind of adjust things on my end, and as much as possible, I'll give him the real truth. I was like, hey man, I could adjust all this as much as possible, but if you're just like running yourself into the ground for this, like there's only so much I could do. So generally, like it doesn't last that long. Generally, the most successful athletes I have is just when the coaches have a mutual respect with each other, and then we just work together, and they just build up the athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Emanuel, maybe talk about like, I know you talked about the early working with them and stuff and some of the benefits that you gained, but how do you think, like, have you got anyone else to work with them too, or?
Yeah, I got my boy Justin to work with him for his first fight. Shout out to Groovy J, aka ICJ, JIC. But sorry, he's probably gonna watch this, so I saw that. But yeah, he's worked with them before. And he had excellent results. First fight, went out there, got that trophy. It was an amazing experience. But yeah, that's another person too. And the thing that's very interesting too is like the anatomy difference. Like I'm a lanky person, high pace cardio. Like, I like to pretty much outmaneuver somebody, to get to, victory, And meanwhile, my other friend, he's like a freaking nuclear bomb. He has, like that knockout power and things like that, and to see the adjustments in our workout plans. You know, I didn't see his, but I know it was just different just based on how he like operates, you know. It was different, you know, like if you see me fight, I'm very like high paced, boom, 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 you can't hit me, or you can't make me give up. And you're just like, yo, this dude's not stopping. Like, where's he getting energy from, like outer space? And then you got like my other friend where it's like, if this dude just touches you, it's like, you know, WTF, you know, like freaking legs giving out. So it was cool to see like two completely different anatomies, like basically, you know, asking him for his service and different heart rates and all that. And, you know, him come up with some algorithm that leads to victory, you know? Like that's the one thing that like I feel like is very cool. It's like I feel like when you come to him with what you need, he creates an algorithm to victory for you from a physical standpoint. It's up to you at that point to obtain it, but he has that algorithm under control. You ain't got to worry about it. So, yeah.
Rich, I want to ask you something. You know, we used to have a guy, Mike Dolce. He was really visible in MMA. He had a family. I think he had maybe one or two kids. So he's kind of been away from the sport. You don't see him much anymore. Um, is there some? Would you ever want to be like someone who's real visible in MMA like that, or no?
Not really. It's weird. It's like my joy is just working with the athletes, like, and just really my happiness is like the lifestyle I'm able to live and just the impact. So, you know, whether like I don't know, I think there's like some award out there for like MMA trainer of the year or whatever. And I was like, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, who's most likely to succeed in high school. Like that's just all it is. So it really doesn't mean anything to me. So it's just my happiness is just making sure that fighters that really invest in themselves and just really put into work, and I just see them like succeed and achieve those goals because they grind hard. Like those are the things, the moments, like, and when they like hit a low point, like I'm just there for them, you know, because generally like fighters always need someone in their corner. I think a lot of people become like almost infatuated with the idea of being a fighter. They just see the fights and they just think, oh, I just want to be a fighter. But then when they really learn what an actual fighter has to go through, then is a rude awakening, because all of a sudden it's like it's not you're just going in a cage and you're just swinging. It's fight camps, and then all of a sudden now you're like, oh shoot, now I got to do strength and conditioning. Oh wow, I got to watch what I eat. Oh wow, I've got to know how to not get injured or manage these injuries. Oh wow, I got to know how to cut weight and not die. And those are the things that they never anticipated or ever signed up to be, and it becomes very stressful. And that's why a lot of them get burnt out and they quit fighting, because they just couldn't handle all of that. Generally they love the fighting is hard, but they love that part, but the preparation is what burns a lot of people out. And generally when I made that process so much easier for a lot of my fighters, that's why they're just able to compete often. They don't get burnt out. They just keep going. And I'm always rooting for them to just like succeed and rise to the top, whatever level they want to get at.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the memes a little bit, since he brought that up at the beginning of the interview. Like, what made you decide to start doing the memes? Because it seems like it's a good advertisement for you.
Yeah, it's it's like I didn't want to be super serious at like all the time. I wanted to kind of show my personality. So yes, like memes is a good way of being entertaining, but also shifting a mindset. So if I post something and they'll look at it and they'll get a laugh, but then all of a sudden they read like what I write, and then they're like, oh wow, he's talking about me. I have so many fighters on the phone. They're like, yo, it really does sound like you're talking about me. I'm like, yes, I know what fighters go through, like exactly what you're going through. Like, and they just kind of they trust me more because I just speak to what they're going through. And then it's just a good way to kind of lower their guard, and then obviously get to know each other. And if they're truly serious, then we're always a good fit.
Now, Emanuel, when do you think your next fight might be?
Oh man, we're looking right now. Hopefully by the end of the year. We have a tournament that we've been tailoring towards. That's coming up in October, October 22nd. I can't wait to get back up in there. I had to deal with a rib injury not too long ago. Just stuff out of my control. But at the end of the day, even with that, I hit up MMA doc. I said, "What's going on here?" He's like, "Hey, bro, like take it easy a little bit. You know, it's a rib injury. We'll figure this out. And we figured it out, came back better than ever. We're going to do this tournament, and then whatever comes from that, you know? So like locally, you know, I definitely, you know, made my footprint. Now it's time to do this regionally, and then nationally, and then internationally. So, you know, like we're moving on to bigger and better things. We've been in a lot more like of like a sync. And yeah, so you know, we'll see what happens with that. But like I'm literally foaming at the mouth to get back up in there. Like I've been having dreams about fighting. Like that's how I know like that like I want to get you know, back in there. And I think that we've been through the like, you know, like the compatibility phase, making sure we're both on the same wave situation that everybody goes through when they, you know, talk to somebody who they're developing a relationship with, whether it be professional or whatever they're going through. So now we're zeroed in, we're dialed in, and very soon. I mean, you see right now, I'm getting excited right now. So it's even talking about it.
Yeah.
I pull out my
Yeah,
rib,
man, you
like,
wish, right?
I've hurt my rib like 3 different times, you know, like every time it pops out, you're like, you know, like trying to move it back in. But when it's out, it hurts like hell, you know, like
Man,
you're like paralyzed, you know, trying to get it
yeah,
popped back
like
in.
it was crazy. It was crazy because like I was training with somebody, and like we were like right there. Like turns out to come up, like
Mm-hmm.
everything was working well. Like we had everything dialed in. And I feel so bad sometimes. I had been made doctor, hey, we got something coming up. And I'm like, no, we don't. Wait, yes, we do not. No, we don't, because he has to do the math, and I hate math, so I don't want to put math on somebody else, right? So then I was training with this person, and like it was weird. Like his son, like they're both like, you know, adults, but like his dad like watched their stuff. So I sparred one of his sons, and he was like really good, you know. But he was like, "Yo, you're good. And, you know, I would love to like, you know, be part of your camp and all that stuff." It's okay, cool. You know, we'll get some training in. Next thing you know, I come in and train with one of my homies. And when I train with them, like this random dude comes up to me, older, and that was the dad. And he was like, "Hey, you know, I heard you're really good. I'd love for you to spar my other son." I'm like, "Okay, cool." You know, so I was eyeing him. I was like, "This is probably a trap." So I'm sparring other people. You know, then the other one calls me. I said, "1 second, let me spar and get some other people real quick." Because, like, you know, as a fighter, when you're in a gym, like you bond through sparring, kind of. You know what I mean? You want to go see your friends, spar. So I have a bunch of friends at that gym. So I want to say what's up in our own unique way. Next guy I go against him, and then as soon as it starts, I feel him kick me, and then I feel in my rib, and I feel it go like zzz, zzz, like a lightning bolt. I look over at the dad, and dad's like all zeroed in. Before he was like this, like now all of a sudden he's like this. Then the kid threw like another kick at me, and it sounded like a gunshot, like literally when you know, he knew Taekwondo. And also you hit the foot, it can make a really loud noise, you know. So then from there, I'm like, okay, I got to get at you now. So then like we were going, and Taekwondo people, if you pressure them, they're gonna spin. They're gonna. It's like in their DNA. So then from there, he spins, and he spins like an overhand right that I threw. Like boom, like Dominic started kneeing him, and he tried to like get me off, and he couldn't. So then someone like random person comes over to me, like, "Yo, I saw you and him. Like your kicks were crazy." Then I saw like the other dude, like, damn, the other dude didn't come to me. So I was like, yeah. But then afterwards, I went out to watch a fight. It was the Justin Poirier fight versus dang, it's like it's they call him the highlight reel, Justin Gaethje. And so I had some friends come up, and like they like, you know, they hugged me, and I felt my rib. I'm like, "Oh, what's going on with my rib?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I can't breathe." You know. And then shortly afterwards, the MMA dog said, "Slow it down a little bit. Like we'll figure some things out, because fires will keep going until something blows." You know. They're like an automobile kind of. You know, you need people to do maintenance on them, or those keep going so they break down. And so yeah.
If you
But
really
now we're in a
tore
good
it,
position.
if you really tore it, you would have known, man. The first time it happens, it's shocking. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you know right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, like I couldn't roll because I couldn't let somebody get a knee on belly. Like a knee on belly, you already probably know what that is. There's like a certain technique where it's like you put the pressure like on the solar plexus, somebody will actually go like this, and it frames like Kimuras and certain traps. And I couldn't even risk somebody doing a knee on belly, you know, just because like based off of what the doc said, he's like, listen, if this thing gets worse, like
Yeah,
it's not gonna get better very soon. So let's figure some things out and work around this. And we've been working around it, and we're better than ever. And this is the only time I've ever come back better than ever from an injury. So let's do it.
Now, before we kind of sign off, I want to let you guys kind of talk about where people can find you. Maybe I'll let Doc go first.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at the MMA Doc. That's generally where most people find me. I do have a website, www.getbackonthemat.com, but it's easier to reach me on Instagram, and we can always just follow me. Send me a DM. We'll chat, see what's going on, and if you're truly serious about leveling up, dialing things in, then we'll schedule a call and see if it's a good fit, and then get you going.
And Emanuel, where can people kind of find you, follow what you're doing?
They can find me on Instagram at Nasty Ninja Black, probably sharing MMA Doc stuff. Yeah, that's the primary method which to contact me. If you contact me talking shit, I'm gonna talk shit back. Not you personally, but yeah.
Well, I want to thank both you guys for taking time to do this, Doc. I know you're a really busy guy, so I hope it didn't take you too long or anything, but I appreciate you guys taking time to do this. And for anybody watching this, I appreciate you guys taking time to check it out and check out MMA Doc and Emanuel Thompson's fights. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.